everyone, good evening, and welcome to Let's Talk Donation with Gift of Hope. I am your host, Olivia Fox, and I have a guest with me who will be introduced in a little while. So I want to talk a little bit about Gift of Hope, who we are, who I am, and tell you a little bit about what we are responsible for. So Gift of Hope is the organ and tissue procurement organization for Illinois. There are 58 OPOs all around the country that are responsible for several things in regards to donation. So Gift of Hope is the one responsible for what we call our designated service area, which is the top 3/4 of Illinois and Northwest Indiana. So OPOs are responsible for being responsible for the process of organ and tissue donation, making it happen. So we work along with the Secretary of State, along with UNOS, who is the holder of the recipient waiting list, and then also along with us, who are the ones that work with the hospitals and transplant centers to make donation happen. So we're going to watch a little bit of video to kind of introduce our guest this evening.
Hello, my name is Olivia Fox. My life, like all of our lives, is all about waiting. We wait on trains, traffic, we wait in checkout lines. We're so used to waiting, we don't even think about it. We wait in line at our favorite coffee shop, waiting for our daily jolt of caffeine to get us on our way. Imagine waiting in line for 5 to 7 years behind 5,000 people here in Illinois, not for a caramel latte with soy, but for a gift that will save your life before you lose your life. That gift of a precious organ, a kidney, that will allow you not to have to go through kidney dialysis 4 hours a day, 3 days a week. I've been going through this excruciating wait for the last 2 years. Watching the clock, waiting for the phone to ring, telling me that a life-saving kidney has been found. Time is running out on my wait. The reality is, each day, 13 people die awaiting a kidney transplant because there are so few kidneys available, especially for people of color. Here in Illinois, African Americans make up only 14.5% of the population, but nearly 45% of those are waiting a kidney. Yet we don't register as organ donors or agree to donate the organs of our loved one in relationship to our need. The bottom line, far too many people needing organs and not enough people donating them. You can end the wait today by registering as an organ donor. Visit giftofhope.org or check out the hashtag I'm Ending the Wait on social media. Donate life before you find yourself waiting in line.
I'm ending the wait.
I'm ending the wait.
I'm ending the wait.
I'm ending the wait. I'm ending the wait. I'm ending the wait.
I'm ending the wait.
I'm ending the wait.
So that was just a little introduction to, like I mentioned, our first guest of the season, and my mother actually, Olivia Fox. Monica is almost a 1-year kidney recipient now. In the video we saw, I talked a little bit about her during her time waiting for a kidney, and you know what? To be honest, I feel so much more comfortable now that I introduced you. I feel ready to go with this and ready to talk to everyone about how important this is in our community. So thank you for being here, Mom, my first guest on my show.
Thank you, Olivia, for inviting me here. I'm just so thrilled and grateful to be here. Watching that video brings tears to my eyes because I did wait for 3 years for the gift that saved my life, and I feel so blessed to have received my gift. And Gift of Hope really was just that to me. It was hope.
Cool. So I don't know if that video made things make a little bit more sense about who Gift of Hope is, who we are, what we're responsible for. During the video, you heard Monica read out a lot of stats, not only about just the weight in general for everyone in Illinois and in the United States who's waiting for an organ transplant, but specifically minorities. You know, this is a huge issue. Organ failure is a huge issue in minority communities, but it's something that we don't discuss very often. So that's kind of personally what brought me to the organization. As I don't know if I mentioned, I'm a community outreach specialist for Gift of Hope, which means I'm responsible for establishing partnerships throughout the community, identifying places and groups that are important to spread this message to and important to work with within the community, because as we know, this is something that can affect anybody, no matter what you look like, no matter how old you are. It can affect you at any age. So that's kind of what personally brought me to the organization, and I'm so grateful because I've been personally affected by it, and now I'm seeing the effect that sharing and educating within the community, you know, what effect that has on everyone and how important it is. So Mom, the question I kind of want to bring to the table for the evening for our discussion is, what does Gift of Hope mean to you, not only as a transplant recipient, but someone that was waiting? So the video mentioned that you were on dialysis for 3 years. You know, so during that time I was in college, and there were just a lot of factors that you don't even think about that affect a family that has someone you know, that is in need of a kidney or a organ transplant. So what did Gift of Hope mean to you during this time, Mom?
Well, Gift of Hope, as I stated before, really meant hope to me. Getting involved with Gift of Hope early on in my process of waiting gave me the ability to hold on to hope, to keep my head up, and to wait with hope, to know that my gift was coming, because there was an organization out here that was directly responsible for it. And not only that, they were working really hard to educate the community about organ donation and about those of us who were waiting. So it really meant a lot to me. It kept me going because dialysis is a difficult process. It really gives you, you don't have a equal level of energy from one day to the next. So it's very difficult to work a job when you're on dialysis. And that can be disheartening when you are a person who's worked all your life, who's been very independent, and when you're unable to do that, it can get you down. It gets a lot of people down. But because I had the opportunity to volunteer with Gift of Hope, to take webinars and attend different trainings, that really gave me a lot to hold on to. It taught me a lot about the process. It gave me the opportunity to meet others in the field, others who were waiting, others who had gotten transplants, other donor families. And so it just really broadened my horizons, because before I was diagnosed with end-stage renal disease, I had no idea of the wait. I had no idea that people were waiting 5 to 7 years for their kidney transplant, that 13 people died each day waiting. I didn't know those things, but because of Gift of Hope, I learned them, and I learned ways to educate the community and raise awareness to try and reduce the disparities.
Good. So I'm glad you actually brought up the industry of transplantation. Just so that everyone knows, Gift of Hope, as I mentioned earlier, is responsible for a designated service area. And within that designated service area, we work with over 180 hospitals. That's everywhere from as south as Springfield, all the way up to Waukegan, and then all the way over into Gary, Indiana, Maryville, and those areas. So within those, there are also 9 transplant centers throughout the state. And those are the hospitals in which they actually make the transplant happen to the person that is waiting. So donation happens at all hospitals, but transplant only happens at one of the 9 transplant centers within our area. We're actually here at the CAN TV studios. We're right near the medical district where there are several hospitals, including, I see your face perking up, UI Health, which is where you got your transplant. So us personally, we just shout out to UI Health. We love all the nurses there.
Yes.
If any of you guys are watching, what an extraordinary institution with people that really care, and that really are kind of at the forefront of this transplant industry, and really doing a lot for people, and making a change in their lives and giving them another chance at life. So shout out to UI Health, and then also all the other transplant hospitals around in our area. So something else that you and I commonly talk about, and I think that it's kind of important, and I think it'll be good to talk about on this first episode that we're having. But it's kind of people. Now let's remember we're focusing right now specifically on kidney donation, and you talked about being in dialysis.
Yes.
And how that dialysis is a procedure that can be done. It is not a cure for any illness, which will sustain. It is modern medicine that's great, but it's kind of something. I know that was a really the longest part of the journey that we've been through so far. We've kind of only been in this kind of know a little bit about that side of it, and what people kind of go through with that. And I don't know if you want to where you want to touch with that. I think that might be a good place for us to go.
Yes. Dialysis is not a long-term plan. It is a life-saving procedure, but it is not meant for long-term care.
And I mean, it's so common. I feel like when we think about dialysis, you might not necessarily think, you just think, oh, someone's on dialysis, but you don't think, okay, what's the next step? How can they do the chemo anymore? But where is that step? And why is that step not a common conversation?
Yes,
for us.
It is. It definitely, the awareness regarding transplantation and the possibility, more conversations about it at the dialysis level. I feel like it was just sort of glossed over, and because I was introduced to Gift of Hope, it was always kept in the forefront of my mind that you have to do the patient has to do themselves. Getting a transplant is not an easy process. It's definitely, you have to go through a lot of testing. You have to be conscious of that you are going to your dialysis treatments and not missing treatments, that you are following the guidelines set forth by your nephrologist and by the dietitian and by the nurses at the transplant center. So you have to be a compliant patient. There are lots and lots of things involved in it. But as a patient, I was very diligent and very determined to get off dialysis, and therefore I did not wait 5 to 7 years. I was blessed to receive it sooner.
Great. So I think we have a call. It's a great point to, about being a compliant patient, and, kind of being your own cheerleader and your own, person that's looking out for yourself. You have to know what's going on and know what you need. So we can tune into our caller. Hey, caller, what's going on? Let's talk donation. Yes, I can. How's it going?
Okay, fine. Listen, if I was to donate my kidney, what would it be to a well-deserving young lady that's next to you that really needs a kidney, that's worked all her life, that's done the right thing all her life, instead of some low life off the street? I only get that to them people. I would just want to give to people that deserve it, that deserve to live. How am I assured that would happen?
Well, excellent question. Thank you for that. And that is actually a key part to my mom's story. And thank you for your question, but let's not call anyone low lives. We're not gonna up here at this desk. We're not gonna call anyone low lives. But I do understand what you're saying and wanting to maybe support your own community in regards to organ and tissue donation. So what we suggest is that it will be excellent for you to register as an organ donor through the Secretary of State. But the most important part of the process is having that conversation with your family and your loved ones, so that when that time does come, when God does choose that it's your time to go, if you do have anything that would be viable to help someone else, let's say you have a family member or a friend that's in need, and something happens to you. Your family, if you've had that conversation, your family will know to say, hey, our loved one, something tragic has happened to them. They have the opportunity to be an organ donor, and we have a loved one that is waiting and in need. And the transplant centers and Gift of Hope, along with Gift of Hope, will make sure that we do all of the necessary matching to see if you can directly donate to that loved one. Now, don't worry if you're not an exact blood match with the person, your loved one that you're waiting for, or the person that you would like to directly donate to. It can still be matched as long as the person that you have selected for your organ to go to, as long as that there's an organ that can be switched, your loved one or the person that you have designated to get that organ will get an organ immediately. They will be the next on the list, and they will get an organ immediately if it cannot come directly from you. So the short answer of that is having conversation with your family, knowing what your wishes are. Even if you were to say, okay, I only want my organs to go to someone that looks like me. While you can't write that on your driver's license or put that in the Secretary of State's registry, if you have that conversation with your family, they are now aware that they can make that known and make that happen. But if we're not aware that we can even say, hey, my family has this say, they have someone that they want to donate to, if we don't even know that that's an option, then we don't ask. But now that we've had this conversation, now that our lovely caller has called in and asked that, now everyone is aware that if you do find yourself in that situation where your loved one is able to be an organ donor and you know someone specifically and personally that is waiting, you can donate directly to them. That's actually what happened to my mom. The video that I showed, that we showed to introduce her this evening, she shared on Facebook for about, 3 years?
No, over about a year.
About a year.
Mm-hmm.
So she shared that on Facebook, sometimes out of frustration of going through dialysis, and sometimes just to continue to share the message of Gift of Hope and about the wait and about the need in our community. And what happened was someone saw that video. And when they found themselves in a situation where a loved one was at the end of their life and they were able to be an organ donor, they were able to say, hey, we don't want our loved one's organs to go to someone random on the list. We know this lady. We saw her video on Facebook. We know she's waiting. We want to donate directly to her. And guess what? My mom's kidney came from Memphis, Tennessee. All the way from Memphis, Tennessee, because someone knew that she was in need, knew that she was a good person, and wanted to donate directly to her, and that's how our family was blessed. So it looks like we have another caller. Let's hear that call.
Before we go to that caller, may I please say that today is my donor's birthday.
Happy birthday, Milton!
Milton is my donor. He's my hero, and today is his birthday.
Happy birthday,
I'm just
Milton.
So blessed that he lives on through me.
Every day through the good work you do.
Yes, and I'm just so blessed for his family. His mother, Miss Georgia, who I call baby girl like he did.
Hey, baby girl.
And his daughter,
hey,
Keita. I love them.
We love y'all. Maybe we have time for one more caller, but let me give Milton a hug for Miss Georgia and Keita. Hug your baby. Let's see if we can get that last caller. Hey, caller.
Hi there. Hello. Yeah, I just wanted to mention or kind of have you disprove a myth that I've heard often, and I thought it would be best for people to hear it from the experts. Is it true that if you are an organ donor and you go to a hospital and they're in need of that particular organ, that a hospital is less likely to try to save you?
Good. So I'm really glad you asked that question, because being someone that works in the field on a daily basis and talk to people about this on a daily basis, also someone that loves television and loves, watching great medical shows on TV, we see that a lot of things like that are sensationalized. That kind of makes for good TV sometimes. There also was a time in history where organ and tissue donation was not fair for everyone. That was over 30 years ago. And now it's important that everyone can be aware of the resources and how to utilize them the best. So to answer your question a little bit more specifically, I think that we all know people that are doctors and nurses, that go to work every day to save lives. I mean, they take the Hippocratic Oath to save lives every day. They go to school for years and years and years, and they pay a lot of money and get in a lot of debt. And I'm pretty sure that those people are not going to go to work every day to steal your one organ. As lovely of a person as you are, there are always going to be there's a bad seed, in any industry you look in. But we're not talking about that. That's not what Gift of Hope deals with. It is nothing with nothing underground. No, black market buying and selling of organs is illegal. So none of that is happening in the United States. And I'm really glad you called and asked that question, because that is definitely something that we hear every day, but it is not indeed a fact. Nobody that I personally know goes to work every day to kill someone for their one organ. I also have personally been in dire situations in the hospital when the medical staff has done everything that they can do to help me. Also, just to touch back on my mom's story, before when she first got ill, we didn't know that she had kidney failure. We didn't know that she had end-stage renal disease. We just knew that she couldn't breathe. She couldn't even sit up at work anymore, and she needed to go to the hospital, and something was wrong. And the next 3 hours after her arriving at the hospital, she was on life support. Mind you, at this time, they still did not know that my mother had kidney failure. They also, I'm pretty sure they didn't know if you were an organ donor, because when you go to the hospital, that's not the first thing that they check, and that's not anything that they ever check. And it's not anything that they're, looking for. Their job is to save you and do everything that they can, do to save you, and make sure that you make it and walk up out of that hospital. So I think we missed one caller, but I'm so glad there was interest in this topic, and we will be right back here next week. Next Tuesday we're gonna have a different guest, but I'm definitely gonna have my mom again, because I'm so grateful for her coming for this first segment. But she is very, very knowledgeable as someone who has been through this process, and someone that is definitely a transplant warrior. So look out for her, Miss Monica Fox, out and about in the Chicagoland area. Also, you can always visit us at giftofhope.org. And then also you can feel free to email me if you have any other questions. My email is ofox@giftofhope.org. I would love to have any conversations with you guys. And like I said, check us out next week at 6:30, and hopefully we'll have some time to answer some more questions, and we'll have another great guest. So thanks for talking donation with Gift of Hope. I'm Olivia Fox, and we'll see you guys next week.